Hi boys and girls, I have a read aloud for you today called Caps for Sale. This book was written by Esfer Soblinka. This is one of my favorite books. Here we go. Oops. Once there was a peddler who sold caps. Peddler is somebody who sells things. But he was not like an ordinary peddler carrying his wares on his back. He carried them on top of his head. First he had his own checkered cap, then a bunch of gray caps, then a bunch of brown caps, then a bunch of blue caps, and on the very top a bunch of red caps. He walked up and down the streets, holding himself very straight so as not to upset his caps. As he went along, he called, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." One morning, he couldn't sell any caps. He walked up the street and he walked down the street calling, "Caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody wanted even a red cap. He began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for lunch. "I think I'll go for a walk in the country," he said, and he walked out of town slowly, slowly, so as not to upset his caps. He walked for a long time until he came to a great big tree. "That's a nice place for a rest," thought he. And he sat down very slowly under the tree and leaned back little by little against the tree trunk so as not to disturb the caps on his head. Then he put his hand up to feel if they were straight. First he checked his own checkered cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps on the very top. They were all there, so he went to sleep. He slept for a long time. When he woke up, he was refreshed and rested. You notice something about that picture? But before standing up, he felt with his hand to make sure his caps were in the right place. All he felt was his own checkered cap. He looked to the right of him. No caps. He looked to the left of him. No caps. He looked in back of him. No caps. He looked behind the tree. No caps. Then he looked up into the tree, and what do you think he saw? On every branch sat a monkey, and on every monkey was a gray, a brown, a blue, or a red cap. Those monkeys took all of his caps. The peddler looked at the monkeys looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do, so finally he spoke to them. He said, "You monkeys, you," shaking his finger, "you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook their fingers and said, "Zzz, zzz, zzz." That made the peddler angry, so he shook both hands at them and said, "You monkeys, you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook their hands back at him and said, "Zzz, zzz, zzz." Now he felt quite angry. He stomped his foot and he said, "You monkeys, you better give me back my caps." You know what the monkeys did? The monkeys only stomped their feet back at him and said, "Zzz, zzz, zzz." By this time, the peddler was really very, very angry. He stamped both his feet and shouted, "You monkeys, you must give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stomped both of their feet back at him and said, "Zzz, zzz, zzz." At last he became so angry that he pulled off his own cap and threw it on the ground and began to walk away. But then each monkey pulled off his cap. Can you guess what they did? And all the gray caps and all the brown caps and all the blue caps and all the red caps came flying down out of the tree. The monkeys threw the caps down just like the peddler did. So the peddler picked up his caps and put them back on his head. First his own checkered cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps on the very top. And slowly, slowly he walked back to town calling, "Caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." The end.